Mrs. Clara James stood shivering on Maple Street in nothing but a wet towel. Her gray hair stuck to her wrinkled face. Water dripped from her bare feet onto the cold sidewalk. People walking by stopped and stared. Some pointed. Some whispered. A few laughed. This was not supposed to happen. Not to her. Not after 50 years of hard work and keeping her head down. But here she was, 68 years old, standing outside in her underwear and a towel while the whole neighborhood watched. How did it come to this? 28 years earlier. Clara, look what I made. 7-year-old Adrian ran through the mansion's marble hallway, his small feet slapping against the shiny floor. He held a drawing in his chubby hands. Clara wiped flour from her apron and smiled. What is it, my sweet boy? It's us. Adrian showed her the picture. 2 stick figures held hands under a yellow sun. One was tall with a dress. One was small with messy hair. That's you and that's me. We're best friends forever. Clara's heart melted. She picked him up and hugged him tight. Forever and ever, my little prince. Adrian's mother had died when he was only 3. His father was always traveling, always busy, always somewhere else. So Clara became everything to the boy. She made his breakfast. She checked for monsters under his bed. She kissed his scraped knees. She taught him to tie his shoes and say his prayers. She raised him, and she loved him like he was her own son. I'm never going to leave you, Clara, little Adrian promised, wrapping his small arms around her neck. When I grow up, I'll take care of you. You'll never have to work again. Clara laughed softly. You're a good boy, Adrian. The best boy in the whole world. Present day. But that boy was gone now. In his place stood a 35-year-old man made of ice and money. Adrian Cole had built an empire. Hotels, real estate, technology. His name appeared in newspapers. His face on magazine covers. People feared him. People wanted to be him. But he barely looked at Clara anymore. She still lived in the mansion. Still cooked. Still cleaned. Still ironed his expensive suits. But now she was invisible. Just another piece of furniture in his giant house. And then she arrived. Sophia Lane. Tall. Beautiful. Young. She wore designer dresses and diamonds that sparkled like stars. Her perfume filled every room. Her laugh sounded like breaking glass. Adrian had met her at some fancy party. 3 months later, she moved into the mansion. She said she was his girlfriend. Clara thought she was a snake wearing lipstick. You're still here? Sophia said one morning, finding Clara making breakfast. She wrinkled her perfect nose. Don't you have a home to go to? Oh, wait, you don't, do you? You're just the help. Clara kept her eyes down. I'm making Mr. Cole's eggs, Mississippi Lane. Mr. Cole doesn't need you anymore, Sophia sneered. He has me now. And honestly, you're depressing to look at. All those wrinkles. Those saggy arms. You smell like old people and cheap soap. Clara's hand shook, but she said nothing. What could she say? Sophia was right. She was old. She did have wrinkles. And she had nowhere else to go. This mansion was the only home she'd known for decades. Every day, Sophia found new ways to be cruel. She accidentally knocked Clara's coffee onto the floor, then made her clean it up while guests watched. She threw Clara's belongings in the trash, claiming they cluttered the house. She complained loudly to Adrian that Clara was stealing food when the old woman made herself a sandwich. And Adrian? He said nothing, did nothing, just nodded and walked away. Clara's heart broke a little more each day. The day everything changed. It started with a dripping sound. Clara was in her small bathroom on the 3rd floor, the one reserved for servants. She'd just finished her shower when she heard it. Drip, drip, drip. Water was leaking from the pipe under the sink. Oh no, Clara whispered. She grabbed a towel and wrapped it around herself. Then she opened a cabinet under the sink to look. The leak was worse than she thought. Water gushed out, flooding the tiny bathroom floor. Help, Clara called out. Someone, the pipe broke. She tried to stop the water with towels, but it kept coming. It soaked her feet. It spread across the floor. It started seeping under the bathroom door. Clara panicked. She needed help. She needed Adrian. She ran out of her room, still wearing only her towel, her wet feet leaving prints on the hallway carpet. She had to find someone before the whole floor flooded. But she never made it to Adrian's office, because Sophia was waiting at the top of the stairs. Well, Sophia said, her red lips curling into a smile. What do we have here? The old maid running around half naked. Please, Mississippi Lane, the pipe in my bathroom. I don't care about your pipe, Sophia interrupted, but I do care about you walking around my house like this. It's disgusting. Before Clara could respond, Sophia grabbed her arm. Hard. Let me go. Clara cried, but Sophia was strong. She dragged Clara down the stairs, through the massive front hall, and straight to the front door. What are you doing? Clara begged. Please. Sophia opened the door. Cool air rushed in. Outside, Maple Street was busy with afternoon traffic. People walked their dogs. Mothers pushed strollers. Neighbors watered their lawns. I'm teaching you a lesson, Sophia hissed. You're nothing. You're nobody. And everyone should see that. Then Sophia pushed Clara. Hard. Clara stumbled forward, through the door, down the marble steps, and onto the sidewalk. The door slammed shut behind her, and locked. Clara stood there frozen, clutching her towel. All around her, people stopped and stared. Someone took out their phone and started recording. Clara wanted to disappear. She wanted to die. She wanted to wake up from this nightmare. But this was real. And somewhere inside that mansion, the boy she'd raised, the boy who'd promised to always take care of her, was sitting in his office, completely unaware that the woman who'd loved him his whole life was standing outside in the street, shaking, crying, and more alone than she'd ever been in her entire life. Clara's bare feet felt like ice on the concrete. She pulled the towel tighter around her body, but it didn't help. Nothing could protect her from the stares, the whispers, the laughter. Is that the maid from the Cole mansion? A woman asked her friend. Oh my God, why is she dressed like that? Another person said. A teenage boy held up his phone, recording. This is going to get so many likes. Clara wanted to run. But where? She had no clothes, no shoes, no dignity left. She looked back at the mansion's front door. It stayed closed, locked, like a wall between her old life and this horrible moment. Please, Clara whispered to no one. Please let me in. But the door didn't open. Inside the mansion, Sophia watched from the upstairs window, a glass of wine in her hand. She smiled. This was perfect, absolutely perfect. That old woman had been in her way for too long, always hovering around Adrian, always reminding him of his childhood, always making Sophia feel like an outsider in what should be her house. Well, not anymore. Goodbye, Clara, Sophia whispered to Glass. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Oh, wait, you're already out. She laughed at her own joke and took another sip of wine. Downstairs in his office, Adrian sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen. Numbers, reports, money. That's all he saw anymore. That's all he let himself see. He didn't hear Clara's cries for help. He didn't know what Sophia had done. He was too busy building his empire to notice that the foundation, the woman who'd built him, was crumbling outside his door. On the street, more people gathered. Mrs. Henderson from next door came out with her arms crossed. Clara, what on earth are you doing? I didn't mean to. Clara's voice broke. She couldn't finish the sentence. How could she explain? Who would believe her? A man in a jogging suit stopped and shook his head. Some people have no shame. She must be sick, another woman said. Someone should call for help. But nobody helped. They just watched and judged and whispered. Clara felt something break inside her chest. Not her heart, that had broken long ago. This was something deeper. Her spirit, her will, the tiny piece of hope she'd been holding on to. She sank down onto the curb, still clutching her towel, and let the tears come. Memories flooded back. As she sat there, humiliated and alone, Clara's mind drifted to the past. She remembered Adrian's first day of school. He'd been so scared. He'd held her hand so tight it hurt. "Don't leave me, Clara," he cried. "Please don't leave me. I'll be right here when you get back," she promised. "I'll always be here." And she had been. Always. Every single day. She remembered when he was 12 and broke his arm falling from a tree. She'd held him in the hospital while the doctors set the bone. His father was in Europe on business. So Clara stayed, all night, holding his hand, telling him stories, making him laugh through the pain. She remembered his high school graduation. His father gave him an expensive watch. But Adrian had run to Clara first, hugging her so tight she could barely breathe. "I did it, Clara. I graduated, and it's because of you. You helped me study every night. You believed in me when nobody else did." She remembered his first business success. He'd been 23. He'd made his first $1 million. He'd come home that night with the biggest smile she'd ever seen. "Clara, look." He'd shown her the bank statement. "I told you I'd make it. I told you I'd take care of you someday." But that someday never came. The more money Adrian made, the colder he became, the bigger his empire grew, the smaller his heart seemed. He stopped hugging her, stopped talking to her, stopped seeing her, until she became invisible. Just a maid, just the help, just the old woman, who didn't matter anymore. The mockery continues. "Hey, lady," a young man called out. "Nice outfit. Is this a new fashion trend?" His friends laughed. Clara buried her face in her hands. Then she heard a voice that made her blood freeze. "Well, isn't this a sight?" Sophia. She'd come outside, dressed in a beautiful white sundress, her hair perfect, her makeup flawless. She walked down the steps like a queen approaching her subjects. The crowd grew quiet, sensing drama. Sophia stood in front of Clara and smiled. "I tried to warn Adrian about you. I told him you were unstable, that you were too old, that you needed to be in a home somewhere. But he felt sorry for you." "That's not true," Clara whispered. "Oh, but it is," Sophia continued, louder now, making sure everyone could hear. "You've been stealing from us for months. Food, money, small things. We've been trying to be kind, but this..." She gestured at Clara's towel. "This is unacceptable. You've lost your mind, old woman. I didn't steal anything." Clara's voice cracked. "You pushed me out here. You locked the door." Sophia laughed. A cold, cruel sound. "See? She's delusional. She actually believes her own lies." Some people in the crowd murmured in agreement. Clara looked around at the faces. Nobody believed her. Why would they? She was just an old maid in a towel. Sophia was young, beautiful, and convincing. "I raised him," Clara said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "I raised that boy. I loved him. I gave him everything. And this is your reward," Sophia said sweetly. "Reality. You're nothing. You never were anything. You were just a hired help. And now, you're not even that." Clara felt the last piece of her dignity shatter. She was about to give up completely, about to surrender to the shame and let it swallow her whole. Then she heard it, the sound of a car engine, a familiar car engine. She looked up, her vision blurry with tears, and saw a sleek black Mercedes turning onto Maple Street. Adrian's car. He was home. Clara's heart pounded. Part of her felt hope, but a bigger part felt terror. What would he say? What would he do? Would he believe Sophia's lies? Or would he remember the woman who'd raised him? The woman who'd loved him when nobody else did? The car rolled closer. Closer. Then stopped. The engine went quiet. The driver's door opened. And Adrian Cole stepped out onto the street, his expensive shoes clicking on the pavement. He looked at the crowd. He looked at Sophia, standing there with her perfect smile. And then he looked at Clara, at the old woman sitting on the curb in nothing but a towel, at the woman who'd been his whole world once upon a time. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Clara saw something she hadn't seen in years. Recognition, not of a servant, not of an employee, but of someone he knew, someone who mattered. Adrian's face went pale. His briefcase slipped from his hand and hit the ground, and he whispered one word. "Clara?" Time seemed to stop. The crowd fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Adrian stood frozen on the sidewalk, staring at Clara. His face showed something nobody had seen in years. Emotion. Real, raw emotion. "Clara," he said again, louder this time. "What happened? Why are you—" "Adrian, darling." Sophia rushed over to him, her voice sweet as honey. "Thank goodness you're home." Clara had another episode. She ran outside like this, screaming and confused. I've been trying to help her, but she won't listen to reason. Adrian didn't look at Sophia. His eyes stayed locked on Clara. Clara tried to stand, but her legs wobbled. She was so tired, so broken, so done with everything. "Is that true?" Adrian asked quietly. "Clara, did you come out here on your own?" This was it, the moment of truth. Clara could lie. She could stay quiet. She could protect herself from more pain by just nodding and going along with Sophia's story. But something inside her refused to break anymore. "No," Clara said, her voice shaking but clear. "She pushed me out here. She locked the door. She's been cruel to me for months, Adrian. And you didn't see it. Or you didn't want to see it." "She's lying," Sophia said quickly. "She's old and confused. You know how elderly people get. They imagine things. I'm not confused." Clara's voice rose, surprising everyone, including herself. "I remember everything. I remember when you threw my mother's photograph in the trash and called it junk. I remember when you poured soup on my bed and told Adrian I'd spilled it myself. I remember every cruel word, every mean look, every moment you made me feel like nothing." Tears streamed down her wrinkled face. "But you know what hurts most? Not what she did, what you didn't do. You saw me, Adrian. I know you did, but you said nothing. You did nothing. You let her treat me like garbage." The crowd murmured. People's expressions started changing. They were beginning to understand. Adrian's face crumbled. His strong, cold businessman mask fell away, and underneath was just a man, a guilty, broken man. "Clara, do you even remember?" Clara interrupted, her voice breaking. "Do you remember the night you had pneumonia when you were 9? Your father was in Japan. I stayed up with you for 3 days straight. I put cold cloths on your head. I made you soup. I sang you songs. I held your hand and told you that you'd be okay." "I remember," Adrian whispered. "Do you remember your 16th birthday? Your father forgot. He sent a check from wherever he was. But I baked you a cake. Chocolate with vanilla frosting. Your favorite. We ate it together in the kitchen, just you and me. You said it was the best birthday you'd ever had." "I remember," Adrian said, his voice cracking. "Then tell me," Clara said, and this was a question that mattered most. The question she'd been holding inside for years. "Did you ever care? Did I ever matter to you? Or was I always just a help? Just a maid who didn't deserve respect?" Silence. The whole street held its breath. Sophia grabbed Adrian's arm. "Let's go inside, darling. This woman is clearly having a breakdown. We should call someone to take her away." But Adrian pulled his arm free. He walked toward Clara. Step by step, he crossed the distance between them. And then he did something nobody expected. He took off his expensive jacket and wrapped it around Clara's shoulders, covering her wet towel. "Yes," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Yes, I cared. I've always cared. You weren't just a help, Clara. You were my mother when I had no mother. You were my family when I had no family. You were the only person who loved me just because I was me, not because of my money or my name." Tears filled his eyes. Adrian Cole, the billionaire who never cried, was crying. "I'm so sorry," he continued. "I got lost somewhere. I built walls around my heart to survive in business, and I forgot who was inside those walls with me. I let success make me blind. I let fear make me cold. And I let you suffer because I was too weak to face the truth." He turned to Sophia, and his voice became ice again. But this time, the ice wasn't hiding coldness. It was hiding rage. "Get out." Sophia blinked. "What?" "Get out of my house. Get out of my life. Pack your things and leave." Now, you can't be serious. Sophia laughed nervously. Because of this old woman? Adrian, think about what you're doing. I'm young. I'm beautiful. She's nothing. She's everything. Adrian said firmly, and you're nothing. You're cruel. You're empty. You're exactly the kind of person I became, and I hate it. I hate what I let myself become. He pointed toward the mansion. You have 1 hour. Take your clothes, your jewelry, whatever. But after that, if you're still here, I'll have security remove you. And Sophia, if you ever speak about Clara again, if you ever come near her again, I will use every resource I have to make your life very difficult. Do you understand? Sophia's perfect face twisted with anger. You'll regret this. No, Adrian said quietly. I regret not doing it sooner. Sophia stormed toward the mansion, her high heels clicking angrily on the pavement. The crowd started clapping. Slowly at first, then louder. People cheered. Some wiped their own tears. Adrian turned back to Clara. He knelt down on the curb beside her, not caring that his expensive pants touched the dirty ground. I can't change the past, he said softly. I can't take back the months of pain I caused you, but I can change right now. Today, this moment. He took her wrinkled hands in his. Clara James, you're not my maid anymore. You're not my employee. You're my family. You're the mother I chose and the mother who chose me. Will you forgive me? Will you let me be the man you raised me to be? Clara looked at him, at the boy inside the man, at the love she'd always known was there, buried under years of hurt and walls. I never stopped loving you, she whispered, even when you stopped seeing me. I never stopped. I never stopped either, Adrian said. I was just too scared to show it. But I'm not scared anymore. He helped her stand. Then, in front of everyone, he hugged her, really hugged her, the way he used to when he was little. And Clara hugged him back. The crowd cheered louder. Mrs. Henderson wiped her eyes. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. The teenager who'd been recording put down his phone, too moved to film anymore. Adrian pulled back and smiled at Clara. Let's go home. Your real home, not the servants' quarters. I'm having your things moved to one of the guest suites, the biggest one, with a view of the garden you always loved. Adrian, that's too much. It's not enough, he interrupted gently. It'll never be enough to make up for what you gave me, but it's a start. Together, they walked toward the mansion. The door opened. Adrian had the key, and they stepped inside. Behind them, the crowd slowly dispersed, everyone talking excitedly about what they'd witnessed. And somewhere upstairs, Sophia packed her bags, her perfect life crumbling around her. But in the kitchen, Adrian made Clara tea, her favorite tea, the way she used to make it for him. They sat at the table together, and for the first time in years, they talked, really talked, about the past, about regrets, about love, about the future. I'm going to do better, Adrian promised. Not just with you, with everyone. I'm going to remember who I really am. Clara smiled, her tired eyes shining. You never forgot, my sweet boy. You were just sleeping, but you're awake now. Thanks to you, Adrian said. Thanks to us, Clara corrected. And it was true. Sometimes love doesn't die. Sometimes it just waits for the right moment, the right crisis, the right chance to break through the walls and remind us who we really are. Clara had waited 50 years to hear Adrian say he cared, and it was worth the wait. This story reminds us that the people who raise us, who love us, who sacrifice for us, they deserve more than our forgotten promises. They deserve our action, our protection, and our love. Did Adrian's change come too late? Was it born from real love or just guilt? What would you have done in his position? If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to remember the power of family and forgiveness. And subscribe for more emotional stories that will make you feel, think, and maybe even change the way you see the people who love you first. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is remember who we were before the world made us forget. Thank you for reading. Your support means everything. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep these stories alive.